Let's start with Japan. Some signs of progress, some relief.
Yeah, the country has seen a steady fall in confirmed cases over the past few weeks, and they do have the lowest among infections among the G7 countries. So Osaka could be lifted along with Kyoto and Hyogo, according to some local reports. And those three could join the rest of the 39 prefectures where emergency measures were lifted 1 week ago. But Tokyo, as you say, surrounding areas there, and Hokkaido will continue a state of emergency. They were slightly above the government's threshold of 0.5 new cases per 100,000 people in a week, according to some reports. But they are on course to be under that threshold before the end of the month. But the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said to make that formal decision later on today. And over in the Philippines, we're also seeing the government there weighing downsizing their lockdowns to villages and regions now. We've already seen parts of Manila where malls and some businesses have been allowed to open as of last week, but the government's still concerned about a possible resurgence in cases. There's still some 42,000 migrant workers that are set to arrive until June, and that may well overwhelm the country's quarantine facilities. Already, more than 27,000 repatriated workers are staying in isolation centers in the capital. So the president, Rodrigo Duterte, not ruling out bringing back stricter curbs if there is a second wave.
And a surprise in India, Yvonne, is allowing airlines to resume domestic flights despite the faster surge in cases in India. Sounds like a gamble.
Yeah, and sources tell us that airlines were actually caught off guard by that tweet from the aviation minister. Many airlines had suspended airline ticket sales until June the 1st. So they were expecting perhaps a longer stint of this, but this short notice now makes it harder for the airlines to prepare for operations, get staff back at work, and arrange for protective gear. And this marks exactly 2 months after a lockdown that grounded 650 planes in the country. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi trying to gradually restart the economy, even as you say, infections are jumping at the fastest pace in Asia. And state governments have expressed some concern that perhaps that they're allowing people now from these so-called red zone areas or places hit hard by the virus to enter their borders. So far, major centers like Delhi and Mumbai are still considered to be red zones. So the aviation ministry is going to lay out some new rules and regulations that will be put in place. But we have seen airlines around the world struggle to remain in business. And India is home to some of AIRBUS's and BOEING'S top customers. Their carriers have ordered more than 1,000 planes in recent years.
Yvonne, let's just shift to China here. And there's some evidence that the coronavirus is mutating. How so? Is it coming back in a more virulent form? What's the deal?
Yeah, so they're seeing differences between Wuhan and now this cluster of cases in the northeast part of the country, where patients in Jilin and Heilongjiang appear to carry the virus for a longer period of time, and they take longer to test negative as well. And it's also taking longer than that typical 1 to 2 weeks for people to start developing symptoms. So perhaps it's making it a bit of a challenge for authorities to really track these cases before they spread. They are seeing more family infections in these clusters now. So scientists are still trying to figure out, A, is this virus actually mutating, or B, they're just observing these patients more closely at an earlier stage from Wuhan. Keep in mind, back then when the outbreak first exploded there, they were only able to treat most of the serious cases. But what we do know, officials are saying that they believe this latest cluster may be actually linked to arrivals from Russia, which is now one of the worst outbreaks in Europe.